How do we know all this metaphysical mumbo jumbo is real? Such a fucking good question. And this came out of my Instagram stories. Again, so appreciative out of all of you. If you ever have any questions or like seriously, drop my way, podcast at mediumnicole.com. I would love, love, love to answer all these questions for you. But my dear friend Crystal asked, how do we know this is all real? Where is the evidence in Akashic Records readings? How do we know that we can trust it? And as the most skeptical person in the room, I just want to thank you for this question. Not you, me. I am super fucking skeptical, and which is why I think mediumship is the way to go. Okay. So let's talk about all of this work. And this is the basis of the program that I'm trying to launch for a spirit communication mentorship. Because the reality is, Crystal and others who are listening here today, is that spirit communication is just a modality. It is learning the language of spirit and how they communicate to us. And a lot of what you know is absolutely true. So we communicate through the clairs, right? I'm not going to go through the names of the clairs because I always fuck them up because I like to keep things simple. But you're going to hear things in your head. You're going to see things in your head. You're going to feel things in your body. You're going to just know things. You might smell things, taste things, etc. And so these are all different ways that spirit communicates with us, because spirit can't typically, we can go off the deep end about some of the exceptions to this rule, but typically spirit does not use external words that come through our ears and get captured by our brain. It doesn't come through external pictures that you see outside of yourself and your eyes register and your brain addresses like it's a visual picture in front of you. Normally, all of this stuff is in your head. And the reason why it's like that is because spirit is energy. Spirit does not have a body. Spirit does not have a voice, right? Spirit does not have fingers to touch you, right? Spirit does not have generally all of these things. So the journey of all of this spiritual communication work is learning how spirit communicates, is learning the language of spirit. And what is so cool about the language of spirit is it's subtle. It's nuanced, right? It's kind of like Pictionary. If you have a lot of clairvoyance, a lot of images in your head, right? It's a lot of just random sounds and words for those of you that hear the voices in your head, right? And so learning the language of spirit essentially is learning how they communicate, and then you can take that and use it as evidence and validation. So again, so first you have to build the foundation of spirit communication. And once you learn that, then you can learn psychic, and you can learn, I mean, technically your intuition too. You can learn mediumship, you can learn Akashic Records, you can learn spirit guides, you can learn galactic, because how the information is coming in is going to be the exact same pretty much for most of this. Whereas the dead people prefer the seeing and the hearing and the feeling, the Akashic Records prefers the knowing, right? Or the channeling. And the spirit guides prefer the knowing and the channeling. So once you learn how all the clairs work, then you are kind of released to the spiritual modalities to follow whatever modality is best aligned for you and your energy and what feels really good and flow for you. So to bring it back to your question, Crystal, how you go about trusting some of the readings that don't have that pure black and white discernment, this is kind of the gray space for me. And this is definitely the space I'm in with the galactic stuff that I'm learning right now, because there's no proof of it. There's no evidence of it, right? And so it's really, really hard to do. But what you have to do is start, and this is why I always encourage people to start in mediumship, because it is a shared discernment. Because you either have an aunt that passed from lung cancer at 72 or you didn't, right? You either have a cousin that fell off the side of a building, was married and 2 kids, or you didn't. Like, it's black and white. The discernment and evidence is black and white. You have to take it or you can't take it, right? And so when you start doing spirit communication, I generally recommend people start either in psychic, but I prefer mediumship just because it's black and white, it's facts, right? And so for me, I like to start there. So this is why I ask people to start in the mediumship space, because it is black and white. You are learning how spirit communicates with solid, definable, binary, Boolean, right? Evidence. A little bit of IT jargon for you for a minute. And so when you start in the space of evidential mediumship and you start learning How do you discern your brain from spirit? How do you know something's coming in? How do you know a spirit's there? How is this message correct, right? And you continuously, over the course of your development, use the sitter or use the person that you're reading for as validation and evidence. And you're learning and you're learning and you're learning, and your accuracy goes up and up and up if you're practicing enough, right? And if you continue to practice so much, there gets to be a space where you start trusting spirit inherently, 100%, no matter what they bring through. And it's not a question of, I got it wrong. It's a question of, I interpreted it wrong, because spirit sent what they sent, but maybe my closed off brain read it incorrectly. Just like all communication, wires can get crossed along the way. You can misinterpret something you're receiving. And so you get to this very predictable space of being accurate, and obviously this high accuracy space, right? And so when you take and you know that you're connecting with spirit, and you know the information coming through is not yours, and you know this is how you receive it, how you interpret it, and you 100% believe, and 99% of the time your client says, yeah, you're right. That's when you take it to the other modalities. That's when you take it to spirit guides and say, let's start working together, right? Because not everything is so black and white evidential, but you've gone through the process of trust. You've gone through the process of discernment. And now you're going to start working with a different being, I'm going to say it that way, to expand your skill set and your communication levels. Because how spirit guides talk is very different than how departed loved ones talk. And so you need to kind of work in that space, get really comfortable, get really trusting. And as spirit guides come through, it's not that it's all going to be pie in the sky, fluffy bullshit. It's that they're going to give you, I think, a little more maybe generalized stuff. They might give you some specific stuff. It really depends on the reading and the sitter, the person that's sitting in front of you. But either way, there's going to be these nuggets of validation in there. There's going to be these little truths in there. But also, I think a lot of people don't go there. They're saying, can I? 2 lines, 2 sentences, they said, don't go down the rabbit hole. You wouldn't go to an advanced reading, quote unquote advanced, a non-evidential reading like spirit guides or Akashic Records or Galactic, mind you, if you didn't believe in evidential medium first, if you weren't able to discern and believe that spirit is real first. So your level of trust that you generally need for those other types of readings is less than the type of discernment you'd want for evidential mediumship. Does that make sense? That's my little spiel. And so as we're talking about spirit guides, they're going to start giving you information about your life path options, outcome potentials, guidance, right? And so that is going to come with evidence that may not be able to be received during the immediate reading. You might get perspective from them on 2 of the paths, and maybe path 1, your boss is a dick and he's going to fire you in 6 months. And in part 2, it's going to be successful, and the money's going to start really slow, but you're going to, open up that flower shop and you're going to get, lots of business, and you'll end up going into the wedding industry in 6 months to a year from now. Right. So a lot of what they give you is not immediate validation, because a lot of what you need right now is not necessarily immediate validation. There might be instances where you do need that, but for the most part, they generally want to set you up for success, give you options, give you information, and then you get to decide what to do with that information. And so a lot of the evidence comes from taking those steps, from trusting spirit afterwards, right? Following what they're recommending, and then seeing if the result is what they said it would be. And a lot of the times, and this is definitely true with the Akashic Records. So I guess everything I'm saying about spirit guides tends to be about the Akashic Records too. Ooh, excuse me. Nope, I'm not going to go there yet. But a lot of times what they'll give you is perspective. And this is true for the Akashic Records specifically, is that they're not there to kind of solve your problems or answer things explicitly, usually for you. If you want explicit answers, go psychic. But it doesn't always mean it's truthful. It might be what you want to hear. I'm just going to put that out there. And so what they give you tends to be more perspective and empowerment so that you can make the best choice for you. Now, when we get to the Akashic Records, this is where it gets really interesting because they can pull out like records, and I hate using that word because I don't think it's like real records by any means, but they can pull out records, right? They can pull out facts from prior lives, from current lives that you can maybe take or not take, right? But from my experience personally, like if we're gonna say work through family lineage trauma that you are currently going through as like this generational trauma healer, okay, in your family, what they'll do is talk about your dad, right? They'll talk about the relationship that you have with your dad. They'll give you perspective as to why this is so difficult for you and why this is so difficult for him. They might go into the family lineage and why your dad ended up that way. They might go into past lives that you and your dad have had together. And so in those readings, for me anyway, that's what makes me, I think, a unique Akashic Records reader, because there are some amazing, amazing Akashic Records readers out there, but they're also fucking pie in the sky. They're also like floating in the ethers. None of the information can be like practical or grounded. And there is not a lot of, I'm going to say more evidential based Akashic Records readers. I think they're out there, but I think practical Akashic Records readers don't really market well, right? Like it's usually two very different audiences. Can we be real about that? I am that person, just for the record. But I digress. But Akashic Records readings should be practical. It should be about using these tools to help heal you, to help give you perspective, right? To help give you all of these things. And so I think, again, there comes a component of trust with the Akashic Records, because some of the stuff that comes out of my mouth is absolutely evidential, or they can understand the personalities that I'm bringing through and how, dad feels like a little boy, feels like you're the adult and he's the son. And you can say, yeah, I've always felt like that. I never knew why I felt like that. And I think that's the fun about the Akashic Records. So some interesting things about my Akashic Records readings that I've had over the years is I've always been afraid of the ocean. Like, not like the shore is lovely, beaches are fabulous, but like the deep, dark ocean, there's something about the deep, dark ocean that just like terrifies me. I can't, like, it's so scary to me that I block it in my head. Like, I can't even talk about it. Okay. And then I don't know what the fuck I was doing with my first Akashic Records reading. So part of that reading was just like, hey, you were a sailor and you rescued all these people in the middle of the ocean, and like you were the big burly dude on board that jumped in and swam in and tried to save people, but you couldn't save them. And so like in my head, because I can see the things in my head, like I see what she's telling me in my head, this life I had, and I can see the bodies slowly sinking down to the bottom of the ocean. No wonder I fucking had a fear of like the ocean, right? What's another one? I think that's the example that I'm going to give you at least that I can remember. So there are these weird things, like how no one, not even my husband knows that I'm afraid of the deep dark ocean. How the fuck does this lady know it, right? Like, and they're irrational shit. Things that like I have no reason to be afraid of the deep dark ocean. Why does that exist? What is that? And for me, even though it's not like your grandmother died at 84. It's not that type of evidence. It's evidence to be like, how the fuck does she know that? And so this is so I think your expectations of what evidence looks like changes and shifts in all of these. And although all of the readings should be giving, okay, this is my perspective. I realize this is not going to be every metaphysical practitioner, but every reading should be somewhat evidential in the moment that you can validate. But a lot of the quote unquote higher level advanced modalities like spirit guides, like Akashic Records, like galactic stuff, usually these have the long game. The validation comes when you trust and you believe and you remember. And then later on, you're like, oh shit, they said that was going to happen. Oh shit. Right? I'm trying to... And it's a lot of stuff that you like can't force, right? And it's like you can't make it happen. It just kind of ends up in your lap and just happens. And I'm trying to think of an example. I'm now in blackout mode because I can't think of any examples. So I'm obviously not supposed to give you any, but I'm sure that you've had your own readings where you're like, oh, they never, I thought that was bullshit. And then holy shit, it made all the sense in the world. It made so much sense. I got a reading. So here's a great fucking example where I don't know where this is going, and I'll keep you updated when I do get updates on this. But I had a reading in a new class. It's an experimental class. I love experimenting with spirit. And they were like, bring in a celebrity that is going to work with you in the spirit world. And I thought this was so interesting. Like, it's so cheesy, right? So fucking cheesy because realistically, can I talk to celebrity? We call them celebrities, but they're just souls, right? They're just everyday people, everyday souls on the other side. But can we tap into celebrities to help us on our mission? Damn near bullshit. This woman, so good. Hang on, I'm gonna get a book out while I'm chatting with you. This fucking lady, I say fucking with the utmost respect. One moment. All right. I don't have it with me. I'm looking next to me. I think it's behind me probably. I was going to pull the book out for those of you that are looking on YouTube. For those of you that are on audio, sorry, that was awkward. But this lady, true to form, because this is how spirit always works with me in these group readings, is that the people find me. Like my spirit team, I'm so sorry for everybody else. There has been classes that I've been in where my entire family fucking hogged the entire practice session. Like they'll do a group demonstration and it's me and it's me and it's me and it's me. My team is vicious. They love it. They come through like boars, like wild boars. No one can stop them. They just come through. So this is exactly what happened in this reading. We were sitting in a group of 3 and the lady's like, I need to read you. And I'm like, okay. She's like, this person has been with me this whole time. And I'm like, okay. At this point, I'm like, who the fuck is this celebrity that's stalking me on the other side? Y'all. It was David Bowie. Now, I was born in the 80s. 80s music is not my favorite. I mean, I was born in 84. So by the time I'm aging myself, I'm literally 40. And so by the time we hit the end of the 80s, I was 6, right? Do not really know a whole lot of David Bowie songs. Wasn't he in the Labyrinth? Like, I don't even know generally who he is. I know that he has the lightning thing on his face. Like, he's just not but wouldn't you know? This woman tells me that David Bowie is here to work with me. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, Mr. Bowie, that you decided to work with me. I'm sure there are other fangirls out there that would fucking kill for this chance. Okay. Thank you for being here. Right. This is what goes on in my crazy world in all my other readings. And wouldn't you know, this lady, this is a term of endearment. So this lovely lady, let me specify this. This lovely lady, I was going to call her this bitch, but I didn't want to be mean because bitch means I like you. So this lovely lady proceeds to talk about how David Bowie wants me to be more creative with my art and my logo because I'm rebranding. He wants to bring me in a lot more color, show my personality, make it crazy, make it like galactic, like just like go. And then this woman starts saying, she's like, he just keeps showing me like the Starman Tarot, because if you know, the person who did the Starman Tarot, I can't remember his last name, is Davide. Learned how you pronounce his name. And she's like, that's who she wants you to like really embrace, like the art of Davide. And I just start laughing. I just let her go and I'm laughing. And we get to the end and I was like, you're never going to fucking believe this. And she's like, what? And I said, I'm in a book called The Intuitive Entrepreneur. It's a collaborative book. Amazing if you haven't bought it yet. I don't get any of the proceeds. Deb DeSalle does, but she's fucking awesome. So please continue to buy the book. The person they hired for the cover of this book is Davide. He made a unique design. I don't even know what to call it. I don't know if you call it sacred geometry. I don't want to call it the wrong thing, but every chapter he tuned into the energy of the chapter and created a unique, like, metaphysical design that looks very geometrical. Should be geometrical. That's the right word, for every single chapter. So Davide has already read my specific energy and put it into the book. And if you have that book, I didn't know this when I read, like, I didn't know. I had no idea he had done this. He had looked into every single chapter and the energy of every chapter, every author, and he created a little emblem for every single chapter that was unique to the energy of that chapter. And no shit, like, I had no idea. But when I opened that, after I learned that, and I looked at my little emblem thing, I was like, oh, it's fucking awesome. It was so good. And so this lady fucking called out, right? Called out that I need to work with the energy of this man. And no shit, I have already been in a Zoom meeting with this man. And I was like, why am I here? Like, no offense. He's a wonderful guy. But as an author of the collaborative book, they invited Davide to talk to all of us. And I think it was a day when the kids were sick and I was like running across things and things were crazy. And I felt like I had to go there. And I'm like, I don't know why I have to go here, but I did. I went there and I listened to him and I listened to him speak. And he's an amazing soul. He's so much of an amazing soul. And so I'm going to have to really think about working with Davide, right? And David Bowie in this work. And so, like, this is the craziness that exists, because how would she know? How would she know that I'd like to think I look young, right? I don't have a lot of crow's feet, right? Like my skin looks generally pretty good. Ding. It does. And so I feel like I don't look old enough to really be into that type of music. I'm gonna like give myself a little pat on the back there, right? Never mind know who Davide is, right? Never mind have worked with him before. How does she know that? How does she know that? And this is the type of evidence that blows my fucking mind working with spirit. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, so I'm going to say, if you have a natural aversion to the woo of the woo, right? The lack of evidence, the fluff, I'm going to challenge you to say, if you are trying to discern the shit of this work, you're using it for the wrong purpose. Because the purpose of this spiritual work is to educate, right? It's to inform. It's to give perspective. It's to give you healing, right? It's to give you all these things, but it's not to prove that it's real, because spirit doesn't give two shits if you think that this is real, because to them, it's real. It's just like if you told me that I believe that you have blue hair, Nicole, do you know what I would say to you? Fuck you, I don't have blue hair. This wouldn't be an argument. I'm not arguing with you. So if you went up to spirit and said, you're not real, they would just be like, okay, buddy, have another drink, have a great day. Because the reality is that their perspective is totally different than our perspective. I'm like, even in my mediumship readings, they really like to gloss over the evidence and go right to the message, because they don't care whether you believe or not. They just want to help you on your journey. And that's what they do. And so if you are coming at this from a very skeptical angle, it's okay to be skeptical. It's okay to ask for evidence, but don't get hung up on it if it's not exactly what you want to hear, if it's not exactly the way that it's presented to you that makes it the most digestible for you. Like, you are there to receive. It's like a sermon in church. Yep, I'm going to go there for a second. It's kind of like a sermon in a church. Does it apply directly to you? Yes or no? Probably not. But can you take nuggets of wisdom, even though the message isn't necessarily directly for you? Yes or no? Like, that's not the best example, but that's kind of what I'm talking about, is that some of it you're going to take, some of it you're going to leave. Some of the stuff that you leave end up being giant nuggets later on that you didn't know that you needed. And you just have to trust that spirit does not waste a beat. So again, even if you're there and not expecting, I said this in my messages podcast very recently, if you didn't get the message you were expecting, you have to ask yourself why. Because they don't screw up. They don't screw up. And I'm going to leave it there. So yeah, so I'm going to say, give it a go. if you go and you don't like it and you don't find it evidential, just wipe your hands of it. That's fine. I suspect most of you, because you're listening to me on this podcast, you believe it. I'm going to suspect that. And I'm going to say, even if it's not evidential, give it a go. See what comes up. Just see what you find out. I think the most valuable way, I'm going to say, I recommend people who are a little more skeptical, a little newer to, let's say, Akashic Records, is use it to understand your complex relationships. Use it to understand why your boss drives you fucking crazy. Like, use it to understand what was the past relationship with your dad, right? Why did you choose to incarnate with him? What is his plan and what is your plan? Because it ends up giving you so much perspective and grace, and it really alleviates a lot of this ego, human-centered pressure we tend to put on ourselves to fit the mold of society, because that's how we get our bonuses and our raises, and that's how, we get friends, is by fitting in. And instead it gives you this whole other perspective that you probably haven't thought of. So I'm gonna say, give it a go if you haven't. I have soul alignment sessions reading available. They're amazing. All right, I'm gonna leave it there. I hope I answered your question, Crystal. You know where I live, so you can just come and beat down my door if you disagree. But I hope for you, Crystal, and for the rest of you, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. From my soul to yours. Take care.